Welcome to the MS-Perspektive podcast. Perspective with a K, as I'm German. I'm Nele Handwerker, MS patient, patient advocate and author. I'm bringing you interviews, inspiration and information about living with multiple sclerosis and show you ways how you can positively influence the disease and make the best out of your diagnosis. On ms-perspektive.com you will find the show notes, 11 free tips as a PDF and lots of other information. And now the show begins.
This podcast is supported by Mid-Mission, a project of the nonprofit Hertie Foundation.
Hello and welcome to episode number 28, Clearing the Fog, Understanding Vision Problems in Multiple Sclerosis. In this episode, we continue with the symptoms of multiple sclerosis. This time, the focus is on vision problems. How is vision affected? What is important now? When do visual disturbances occur? And how can you prevent future vision problems? Visual disturbances are a common symptom of MS, but can sometimes also be an indication of a disease from the neuromyelitis optica spectrum disorders, or for short, NMOSD. When do visual problems occur? For 1/3 of all MS patients, visual problems are the first symptoms they notice of the disease themselves. This is followed by further examinations by an ophthalmologist and then a neurologist. Sometimes it also goes straight to the neurologist, depending on how the general practitioner is educated about the possible causes of these symptoms and if other symptoms are part of the relapse as well. However, visual disturbances can also occur later in the course of the disease or happen several times as a relapse. It is important to distinguish the disease from other neurological diseases in order to start the appropriate therapy. For neuromyelitis optica spectrum disorders, NMOSD, inflammation of the optic nerve is very common. A few years ago, scientists discovered that For neuromyelitis optica spectrum disorders, NMOSD, inflammation of the optic nerve is very common. A few years ago, scientists discovered that they are separated autoimmune diseases, but they are treated normally by MS specialists as well. What are the different types of vision problems? Optic neuritis is particularly typical. The myelin layer of the optic nerve is attacked. This leads to blurred vision, colors are perceived paler, and often the movement of the eye hurts. You may also have spots on your field of vision where small pieces of the image are virtually missing. Usually only one eye is affected. In NMOSD disorders, more often both eyes are affected at the same time. In addition, the extent of the inflammation is usually much more intense, which makes a rapid diagnosis and subsequent preventive therapy with a disease-modifying drug particularly important. However, other cranial nerves that are related to vision may also be affected. As a result, you may not be able to control your eyes properly and you may experience double vision or blurred vision. Eye tremor, also known as nystagmus, is another possible symptom. This is when your eye tremble or twitch uncontrollably. As an outcome, problems with the eyes and vision can also lead to balance problems. In summary, these are all problems that are clearly felt in everyday life and that usually lead to having the vision disorder examined more closely. How are visual problems treated? In most cases, intravenous cortisone treatment is started very quickly because vision is a particular important sense and doctors do not want to take any risk here. If that doesn't work, a second cortisone shot can be given. There's also the option of blood washing in the form of immunoadsorption or plasmapheresis. Since the intervention in the body is significantly higher with both forms of blood washing and requires not only special technology but also trained personnel, these therapies are rarely used. What can you do during the relapse? See a doctor quickly if you have new types of vision problems that last longer than 24 hours and stay as calm as possible. Relax as much as possible. Stress tends to fuel inflammatory activity. If you like to read, Use audiobooks, podcasts, or the radio to distract yourself and not constantly confront your vision problems. If you are uncomfortable with brightness, sunglasses can help. Eat healthy, drink plenty of fluids, and use low-impact sports or relaxation techniques. This will also help you to cope better with the possible side effects of cortisone. And what if visual impairments remain permanently? Of course, it can also happen that certain impairments remain and you may no longer see so sharply and with so much contrast. In the acute phase, it is possible to follow up with another cortisone treatment, or if this does not help at all, to carry out a blood wash. This includes plasmapheresis and immunoadsorption. However, your treating physician knows best and can assess what makes sense under the given circumstances. As long as the optic nerve is still swollen, the impairment may appear greater than it is in the end. Therefore, give your body time to recover. However, if the relapse has already subsided and you really have permanent visual disturbances, you must try to compensate for them and learn to deal with them. Physiotherapy and occupational therapy specialists can help you with this. In addition, nowadays, there are more and more accessible offers on the internet for digital use, from larger fonts and more contrast to offers for reading aloud. However, please also keep in mind that you may not be so roadworthy anymore and avoid endangering yourself and others. What is the best prevention against vision problems? A working disease-modifying therapy paired with a healthy lifestyle, loving people around you who do you good, and as little harmful stress as possible. Food for thought. If you had a visual disorder and it has now subsided, if possible without permanent restrictions, then enjoy nature in all its splendor and beauty, all the more consciously. The bright colors in autumn, the stark contrast in winter when white snow lies on dark tree trunks, and the sun shines in the blue sky, or when the green bursts forth in spring and tries to conquer the world anew, and in summer, the splendor of flowers and delicious fruits ripen. The world is beautiful, enjoy it. And if your sight is reduced, use your other senses. Hear the buzzing of bees and happy laughter of children playing with water. Taste the juicy strawberries and cherries. Hear the changes in autumn when the leaves rustle, the wind suddenly whistles, or there is complete silence. Breathe in the smell of mulled wine and baked apples in winter, and sniff your way through the splendor of flowers that spring brings forth in so many ways. I hope I could give you a kind of overview on the vision problems, and of course I will talk to experts in interviews in more detail about them. By the way, next time I will talk to Casey Chester from the USA about living a fulfilling life with MS. Casey is a patient leader, a speaker, an award-winning writer, and a certified health advocate. She is an MS Thriver and a Lifetime Achievement Award winner, and she lives in Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. It's a very interesting interview, and please tune in again to hear her positive attitude on living with MS since more than 30 years. And hear you next time. Thank you for listening today. I hope you found it helpful. You may also be interested in the previously published episodes and posts, which you can find at ms-perspektive.com/podcast. Perspective with a K. You can also get a free PDF with 11 tips for your positive impact on MS at ms-perspektive.com/newsletter. If you'd like to get in touch, you can reach me at nele@ms-perspektive.com or on social media. See you next time.